if you had to pick 5 exercises that you could do for the rest of your life to help you maintain a healthy level of body fat, maintain muscle, what would they be?
Well, your deadlift, your barbell squat, your overhead press, your bench press, and you could probably you could throw a row in there. That would be the fifth one. And you've kind of hit all the everything. You might want to throw in some rotational movement as well if we could add a sixth movement type pattern. But the five that I listed, you'd get really far with.
Now, why did you bring up those 5? Was it just because it's the biggest bang for the buck? Is it because of what they do for the body? Like, why those 5?
Well, you're working every major muscle in the body. You're working the muscles in concert or unit. You know they're working together, so you're developing good recruitment patterns. The carryover from the strength that you build in those exercises is apparent and valuable for the real world. So it's got what's called functional applications. So you get stronger at those movements, and then you go move a couch or you go do something physical. You'll feel the extra strength, and it'll be applicable versus, building strength in other exercises where sometimes you don't get so much of that functional benefit. They also, most bang for your buck, they produce the biggest changes with the least amount of time. They work stabilizers and core stability muscles because they're all, kind of these big compound gross motor movements, and they're all free weight.
I feel like strength training over the years has gotten a bad rap, specifically for women. I've been a trainer for a while as well, and like the biggest thing that I've been told when women start to train with me is they're like, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get too big if I lift weights. And we all know that's just completely false and not true. Do you still see that like out in the industry, given all the people that you talk to, or you think we're kind of behind that?
I mean, we're not beyond it yet. It's improved a lot. I mean, when I started training people in the late 90s, early 2000s, I mean, I never saw women in the free weight area ever. It was just empty. It was all men. Now, the free weight area is 50-50. Gyms, big box gyms in particular, are changing their footprints where they're trading cardio space and group X space for strength training. And that's because of the female consumer. So attitudes are changing. However, you still hear a lot of these myths persist, right? Like, I don't want to build big, bulky muscles, so I don't want to do resistance training, or I just want to lean down. Why would I do something why would I do strength training? It doesn't burn a lot of calories type of deal. But when it comes to getting leaner, sculpting the body, shaping the body, nothing's more effective on a time for time basis. And the whole, like, I don't want to build big muscles thing, like, you can try building the biggest muscles you want. It's not going to happen. It's very, 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 very challenging to do. And at the most, what you'll get is a tight sculpted physique.
What about rep ranges? I mean, have you found there to be a set of rep ranges somebody should try to hit if they're looking to just build like pure muscle and not necessarily just strength?
Strength and muscle are closely connected. Any rep range between 1 to, I don't know, 30 is going to build muscle. Now the question is, which one is the most effective? Well, they're all effective when they're new. And you start to adapt, in which case you need to switch to a different rep range. So, the literature will show 8 to 12 being the best muscle building rep range. But if you just did 8 to 12 and never moved into, let's say, 5 or 25, that rep range would then become the worst rep range for you to build muscle. So I think it's important to train in a range of reps for, let's say, a 3-4 week period of time, and then switch to a new range of reps, or incorporate different rep ranges throughout your workouts throughout the week. Although one thing I'll add to that is most people do best focusing on one rep range at a time and not mixing them up. And that just has to do with the intention around the lifts and what they require. I mean, doing a set of squats for 20 reps, a very different experience and different intention than doing a squat for 3 reps. And I like people staying at a rep range because it really puts them in the zone, and it gets them to the point where they're really mastering what it feels like to lift in a particular rep range and how to apply themselves, and then move to a new one.
What is the value in doing the same workout repetitively, like over and over again? I see a lot of people just mixing things up like on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, because they want to try to quote unquote shock their body. But I found that when I stick to an actual program and do a program for weeks or months at a time, I see the best results.
Novelty has value. So doing new exercises and new rep ranges and rest periods does have value, but that value which is there. So you want to utilize it. But that value pales in comparison to practicing certain movement patterns and allowing yourself to get really good at them. Okay. So I think it's important to do certain exercises consistently. Those are the big gross motor movements. I listed 5 of them earlier on, when maybe a couple questions ago. But then from there you can modify. So like squatting is important, but there's variations of squat. Same thing with pressing and rowing and deadlifting. So you can add some variety and some novelty, but also maintain the same movement pattern. So I can go from like a conventional deadlift to a sumo deadlift to, let's say, a trap bar deadlift or a stiff-legged deadlift, right? Same thing with pressing. There's different versions and varieties of pressing. I'll say this: it's more important for beginners that they do the same exercises over and over again than it is for people who are advanced. Someone like myself, I can go do exercises I haven't done in a while, and I'll be able to yield benefit from the exercise because I have pretty good control of my body. I know how to create tension. I know what they're supposed to feel like. Whereas a beginner, there's a learning curve and a process that goes with it. So for them, I'd say practice the same lifts, especially the ones that I mentioned frequently.
So we talked about like the strength training myth. What's been a myth over the years that you may have believed, or what's been something that you've changed your mind on?
God, a lot of stuff has changed. I mean, I used to believe that eating small meals throughout the day would speed up your metabolism somehow, and that was the best way to do it. Now I know that it's really up to the personal preference, and it may make it more convenient to eat small meals if you're eating a high calorie diet, or it may work out better for you to eat less few meals, especially when it comes to, let's say, trying to cut or lose weight. That's one thing that I thought was true that didn't turn out to be true. I used to do a lot of static stretching for warm-ups before workouts with clients. There's still value in static stretching, but for the most part, you want to do what's called dynamic stretching. This is where you're moving your body through stretches versus holding a stretch. And that's because static stretching tells the central nervous system to relax. You'll actually, through static stretching, tell certain muscle groups, depending on the ones you stretch, to disengage, which you don't necessarily want when you're strength training. You want muscles to engage. So that's another one. Those two are pretty big. I used to think body part splits were the best way to strength train. That's where you train like 1 or 2 body parts a day. I mean, my experience and data shows that full body workouts are superior for most people. They tend to produce the best results, and the average person is likely to miss a workout here and there. Well, if you're working out 3 days a week full body and you miss one workout, you still worked your whole body. Versus, I'm doing chest and shoulders and arms and legs. I miss a workout, that entire body part hasn't gotten touched for that whole week.
I'm glad we're talking about this, because one of the other things I wanted to ask you was the concept of overtraining. I feel like when people are trying to do something like we're talking about, lose over 20 pounds, maximize fat loss, build muscle, whatever the case may be, that they feel like they have to be in the gym 5-6 days a week. They got to do an hour of cardio every day. They got to cut out this, cut out that. And it ends up like completely like hijacking and overwhelming their lives, and they end up quitting. Right. So talk a bit about why, less is more when it comes to this stuff.
Well, look, I mean, if I had 2 people and if I took 2 people and told them to dig a 10-foot hole and they could use whatever tool they wanted, who would grab a spoon? Right? Nobody, right? Because you're going to be doing a lot of work. You'll be sweating your butt off, but you're not going to get very far. So, I mean, is there benefit to doing lots of workouts? I mean, there can be, but for most people, there isn't, because it's just overkill. And so what you're doing is you're actually getting yourself to your goal slower, not faster, slower. There's a right amount. And what determines that amount is your current fitness level and your ability to recover and adapt. Exercise sends a signal to your body to adapt. The getting fit part of it happens after the workout, not during the workout. And if you're not exercising now, or you're a beginner, it doesn't take much to get that ball rolling. And doing any more than that, all that does is compromise your body's ability to adapt. Because your body will just want to heal. It's like you work out so hard, you get so sore, and then you hurt for 4 days. And what your body's doing is it's just trying to heal from that. And then you go back to the gym, you don't get any stronger. There's no improvements. You just get yourself sore again. Plus, it's not sustainable, really. I mean, who would want to get great results working out twice as much than they could if they worked out half as much? Just doesn't make any sense. So I'm all about effectiveness and efficiency. By the way, effectiveness doesn't mean you work out harder or you beat yourself up more. A lot of people think that if they work out less frequently, they have to make up for it with harder, more intense workouts. And that's not the case. Effective workouts are effective. They're not necessarily harder or more brutal. They're simply effective. The more advanced you are, the harder they do need to be to elicit more change. I have to train at a certain intensity if I want to get my body to improve or progress, more than where it's at now. But if you're just getting started, it doesn't take much. I mean, if you don't do any squats at all every single day, doing 10 squats today is enough to get your body to start getting stronger.
One of the things that I had to overcome early in my fitness journey, I remember when I got out of jail, I worked with a trainer not too long after that. I don't remember the exact timeline. And I remember one of the programs he put together for me for building muscle was like, do a set of barbell bench, rest like 2 to 3 minutes, barbell bench. And I remember looking at it, and I know like a lot of people feel this way too. And I was like, dude, that's too much rest. Like I got to do more. He was like, dude, just trust me, you need rest. And that was like one of the biggest lessons that I learned was that slowing it down during the workouts and really focusing on strength and getting in great reps goes so much further than just trying to superset and endurance train during strength training. And I know you feel the same way.
Well, I don't. I mean, I don't have to feel this way. It's clear. The data is very clear on this. So people confuse rest with like I need to take a break because this is too hard. That's not what the rest is for. The rest is there because when we're trying to build strength and muscle, we're trying to train the anaerobic system of the body. So you have the aerobic system, which is with oxygen. That's what aerobic means. And that is glycolytic, meaning we burn glycogen and stored energy. And that happens from stamina, endurance type training. When you're trying to build muscle, the system you're trying to train is anaerobic without oxygen. And this is a fast burning, powerful energy system, but also burns out very quickly. So I'll do 10 reps on a bench press and I've utilized and burned out the anaerobic energy system. And then I wait and let it replenish and do it again. That's what builds strength. If I don't do that, if I do 10 reps of bench press and then 10 reps of push-ups and then 10 reps of pull-ups and then 10 reps of squats and I don't rest, my body now is going to be in the aerobic state. And all I'm doing now is cardio with weights. I'm actually not doing strength training. I'm just using weights in a way to build stamina and endurance, which is fine if that's what you want. But if you're trying to build muscle and build strength, then you need to rest in between sets. That's the only way to do it.